Hello and welcome to the Laramy-K Optician Works Training Center, where a couple of days ago I got a Facebook message from Sandra asking me if I could do a video on installing cable temple tips on a frame. And as always, I said, sure. Adding cable temple ends. You got a cable temple end in your hand, you got a frame, you're thinking about putting this onto this. The first question you need to ask yourself is, why am I doing this? It's almost always a last resort, and we'll circle back around to that in just a second. Is it because the frame has a fit issue? Is it out of alignment? Is it messed up? Is it crooked? Is it too much face form? Is it negative face form? Is there a reason that that frame is falling down and you're thinking about adding cable temples? That's the problem, fix it. Is it simply too big, too small? Is there a size issue? If it is, that's what you need to fix. Could you add nose pads like we did last week to that plastic frame? Could you swap out to silicone pads instead of hard? Could you add a strap bridge or a strap silicone? Might be a better option. Weight, are they wearing a 6580 aviator shape with glass? Well, maybe it's time for a 40i with some Trivex. Might be a better choice. Now, that's not to say that we don't have true anatomical reasons for using a cable temple. There are people with no noses. I have never worked with one. I have worked with several people without ears. So this is one of those places where that could come in kind of handy. Now, back to this, it's not always a last resort. It just seems to most of the time be a last resort. Certain uses, especially you think of your old Ray-Ban shooters, those kinds of things, just simply come with cable temples. Still plenty out there, and some of your companies offer frames in both regular and cable styles. Now, I think if I was a fisherman and I lived to be out on my boat, I think I'd have cable temples. No matter what, they are not really designed to hold up the frame, shall we say. There's not enough tension, or shouldn't be enough tension in a cable temple that, you're adding face form, you're leaving with, take them off and you've got a print of the frame on your face, you've got digging in of the nose pads. That's not the idea. It's kind of more to hold them in place, and more importantly, keep them in place when you shake your head, violently move, shake like a kid, run around, jump, look over the side of the boat, those sorts of things. Once you've decided that, yes, I still want to go ahead and add these cable temples to this frame, you have to determine, can that frame even be used for this? Generally speaking, big picture thing, what you're looking for is a very basic metal frame, preferably Monel, with an ordinary temple tip on it, the ones you can replace. Straighten out the temple, pull it off, grab a new one, put it on if they're broken or chewed up or something. Those are the perfect ones. Now, that's not to say you can't customize something. In fact, you can even solder on new cable ends. You can weld if it's a titanium. You can customize and add these things. But that's not really what this particular video is about. I would determine the length that I need from my cable from the existing fit. Put on that frame that you've decided to do this to and look. If it is short, you're going to want to leave things alone because these things add a little bit of length to the temple and the fit. If it is long, then you're going to be wanting to trim, and we'll do all that stuff at the bench. Now, when I say, can a frame be used? You bend the temple out, you pull off the temple tip that's there, and you've got a box or a flat edge of some kind of built-up thing that doesn't look like this. Probably not going to be able to use these style slide-on cable temple ends. Sometimes you have this deal, you've got a decorative piece flattened and then it comes into where you put the temple on. All depends on how much length you have here. Don't make an assumption that you can just do this to any frame, or just because you have a temple tip on there that you can do this. You're going to have to watch that because you're going to end up most likely trimming some of this away. If you have an old-fashioned, plain old sunglass, plastic sunglass without a metal core, not going to happen. Yes, perfect. Just an ordinary metal frame. And I said, Monel is wonderful. If you're using titanium or stainless steel, you need the hardened cutting pliers in order to do this job. And if you have a plastic frame with the metal core and you want to do some custom work and you want to put some time and effort into it, you could most likely add them to that. And you'd have to do some work down here on your with acetone and a file and all that good stuff to get your plastic to blend with the end of that cable temple. First things first, Sandra, the moment I got your message, I fired off an email to Albert Moe up at Laramy-K Optical and said, hey, can you send me a package of add-on cable temple tips? And he went out of his way and actually sent us about 8 pairs, so we are going to be able to spend all kinds of time looking at these things. Might want to drop in an email and say thank you. And I'll say thanks. Thanks, Albert. And the project for today is we are going to turn this extremely realistic scenario of a little kid frame like this into a little kid frame like this with cable temples. Not at all unusual. Kid walks out the door. A week later, the mom comes in, kid in tow, saying these will just simply not stay on her face. She is so busy, so active, hyperactive, and we need to put on some cable temples. Before we jump into that, couple other things. One, this is an actual cable temple. This is a factory one, and of course I'll get you a close-up of that, just so you know what those look like. And I would encourage you, there are companies out there still that are producing these as brand new, factory installed cable temples. So they are out there if you look around. I had mentioned on the board that you could take a plastic frame like this, and if you look in there and you see you've got that metal core, that metal core is in fact the same as this metal core, just has plastic poured around it. So if you cut this and pulled this off, you could in fact turn something like this into a cable temple if you had some time, patience, and creativity. The first thing I wanted to find out was, and when I said that these add length to something when you install them, if that's right or not. That's how I remember it, but let's find out if that is true. I've got a kid's length temple here, and we'll use the ear there. Let me grab a pen. And we're going to say our temple tip starts right there. Call that our apex. Bring out that as our tip. All right, let's see that. Good. All right, we can agree on that. All right, so we'll slide this off. And let's see, I think these come in different sizes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's like an adult size. There's a kid size. Let me use one of these. Let's see. If I just put this on and didn't do any trimming of any kind, I'm adding almost 30 millimeters. Wow. All right. So that would certainly be something I'd need to think about. Let's see if that'll come back off. It would. Figure that started about there. If I wanted that to be about the same place, I would need to trim this about right there. All right, let's see if I'm right there. Good thing nobody was standing over there, huh? And I'm going to do this a couple of times, so don't worry. I'm just kind of experimenting for my own knowledge. Okay, and it started there. Let's get that bent back where it's supposed to be. That was there. No, I'm still a bit shy. So let me go retrieve that piece. Let's see what we took off here. We took off goodness, 34 millimeters. So I'd actually have to go a little bit more. And now, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Remember, I was talking about it goes flat and then onto the rounded portion. I don't really have a whole lot more wiggle room to go before this is going to be hitting my flat, and I won't be able to actually put this on the full length. So I can only go, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push my luck and go 5. And again, I'm going to do this a couple of times. Don't worry. Like I said, I'm just kind of thinking this through or working this through on my own to see if I was right about what I said there. There's 5. Let's get rid of that. Deburring tool. All right, so yeah, I ended up taking off 35 millimeters. That's how much length this added to that in order to get this to match. And I was looking, apex here, about the curve where it would start around the ear, to be exactly the same, or perhaps just a tiny, tiny bit more snug than it would be with a normal temple tip. So yes, that information was correct, and we'll be shooting for about the 30 millimeter mark. Hopefully these have that much to work with in order to do that. So when you start doing this, playing with it, experimenting, deciding you're going to do it, yes, I need to trim that temple down quite a bit. Otherwise, obviously, we were out here someplace when we wanted to be here. So that would make things worse, not better. All right, let's make this pair of kids' glasses with ordinary temple tips into a pair with cable temple ends. And this time we're going to use some bright colored kids kind of thing. And we're going to follow the instructions just as they are printed there. I'm going to pull off my temple tip. And for my ease of use, we're going to straighten things out as best we can. And if you look at the very end of this temple, you can actually see that it's roughed up a little bit. Little serrations here. And we're going to actually mimic that a little bit, a little help to grip. I think that's also some markings for trimming these because they are for kids. They may be kind of predestined for that kind of change. All right, and just discovered that I needed to take off 35 millimeters. Now, how you do this is really up to you. Some people take a marker and see that I need to do 35 and put a little black dot. That's fine if that works for you. Personally, I've always just kind of liked going direct with my ruler, going 35, coming in with my cutting pliers held the right way, 35 right there on 0, and snip away. Now, you need to prep this end. If you've got a sharp piece here, as soon as you try to slide this on, it's going to catch inside here because it's very snug, and you're not going to get what you need. You're going to destroy this, probably bend this more than you want. For that, I generally really like the deburring tool, which is used for the head or the shaft of screws to do that. If you don't have the deburring tool, then you can use a file to clean that up. And you probably could even get away with a good old-fashioned emery board. Stole this from my wife, don't tell her. Clean that up. So that's one side down. And then we're told that what we need to do is to rough up this surface a little bit. And that's a test I'm going to do in a little bit. I've got 3 perfect matching temples here, and we're actually going to go into the garage and do a pull test, but that's a couple of minutes from now. So they said, a couple of different ways you can rough it up. You can use a file. You could use your emery board, which actually seems to do a really nice job. I think this is even marked. Yeah, 100, 180. That's good. And what this does is just gives the shrink wrap piece of this a little something more to grab onto. It's going to be a little less prone to wanting to pull away or pull out. And then I'm going to install this. Oh yeah, that's good. Make sure I'm lined up well. And then I'm going to hit this with some heat. And when I say heat, I've got this thing fully cranked up. These can take, you're going to want this to shrink up. Shrink wrap takes quite a bit of heat. And as always, keep it moving just like you would any other frame part while you're doing this. And watch it. All right, and when I say hot here, I mean really hot, as in this is getting soft. This may start to rotate on the temple. You may need to hold it in place. The shrink wrap that's in here, it's deep inside. You really need to hit some heat on there. And in fact, that's probably one of the easiest mistakes to make when you're doing this project. You may even find that heat gun, the thing that you're actually supposed to use for shrink wrap, may actually work better than your frame warmer does. All right, we've got our right installed. Let's go ahead and do our left as a close-up as we can get and talk things through. I'm going to remove 35 millimeters of temple length, and I can do that either by marking it with a marker or by using my PD stick. When I said holding it the right way, I was holding it like this. .35. Snip that off. And one of the things I was looking at and talking about was that I need to push this in or on about almost a centimeter. And I need to make sure that I don't get into where this is starting to widen. So there's my centimeter. So I've got almost 15 millimeters to play with. I only need about 10, so I'm doing good there. This is the deburring tool to round off that end. Can use that. I could use a file. I could use my emery cloth, or emery board rather. And that just gets this smoothed out. Then I need to rough this up, and I could use my file to do that. I can use my emery board to do that. And the test I'm going to do after this presentation is over, my pull test, is I actually used to notch these a little bit when I do them. I used to take either like a slotting file or a file like this and actually put a couple of notches in there for the shrink wrap to hold onto. Now, again, I don't know if this is necessary, and so if you want to stay tuned, so to speak, you can see if this makes any difference at all or not. So I've trimmed, I've rounded my end, I've roughened up the surface where the shrink wrap needs to hold. I'm going to insert that as far as it will go. Get things lined up. And going to pop that into the frame warmer. And there we have it. We had a child's frame that had regular temple tips on it. Kept falling off because the kid was running around. A little hyperactive. Mom came in and said, hey, what can we do about that? And we added these cable temple tips to it. And now it's good to go. One thing about these is they do tend to not fit in a normal case anymore. I might need to go with a cloth bag or a extra large, maybe a sunglass style case. Adding cable temple tips. There you go, a great little conversion project, the kind of thing that you should actually be eager to do as an optician. Practice it, you'll get the hang of it. This is the kind of stuff that makes your job interesting instead of boring. Thank you so much to Albert and McCrae Optical for sending us all these temple tips to play with. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching me on Facebook, please hit the like button. If you're watching me on YouTube, hit that subscribe button down there in the corner. Make sure that every lens in your life comes from Laramy-K. And if you want to stick around after the credits, I'm going to do that poll test, but you don't have to stick around if you don't want to. I will see you again next week. So you decided to stick around. Okay, here we go. 3 identical temples. 1 I only roughed up, 1 I roughed up and notched, and 1 I left perfectly smooth. They were set up the exact same way, 30 seconds on the heat gun. I measured, so these are all set into the temple the exact same length. Did everything I could to keep things equal. I'm going to use my scale and see how much tension it takes to pull off the different ones. Let's hit the vise and find out what happens. Okay, here goes my not very scientific test. This is my red, which is the one that I roughed up only. And this is the only one that actually pulls off, and that is at 33 pounds, quite a bit. This is my yellow, which is the one that I roughed up and notched, and it actually tears apart, doesn't come off at 31 pounds. This is my blue, which I left alone, and it also tears apart, this time at 25 pounds, still leaving the temple and the temple tip adhesion area in place. So I think our takeaway here is a pretty simple one. If these things are installed correctly and heated to the proper temperature to get the shrink wrap to shut down like it's supposed to, you've got something that's going to last quite a long time. And to give you an idea what 30 pounds looks like, that would be Toby, a 7-year-old beagle.